Thank you for staying with us. Our second guest in this edition of The Inside, Lapana Tasha Mama, joins us from the south of Cyprus. Lapana Tasha Mama, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babela, for this wonderful opportunity you have given me.
You're the author of the book, Positive Mentality for the Cameroon We Want. Tell us more about the title of this book.
Positive Mentality for the Cameroon that we want. That is the title of a mental transformation book that I wrote for a better Cameroon and for the Cameroon that all Cameroonians are praying for every blessed day.
All right, Lapana Tasha Mama, the state of the nation today is somehow limping according to some Cameroonians. What do you think about the state of the nation, Cameroon, today, with the many socio-economic, political, and security problems affecting the nation and worsened by inflation and the increasing cost of living in Cameroon today?
My take on the state of the nation today, Cameroon, is whenever I look at my country, Cameroon, the natural resources in our country, the human resources, and the trouble plaguing our nation, I am troubled in my heart. I am not going to pretend that things are normal in Cameroon, or just to hold on to the paperwork that the government in place is maybe presenting to the international community. But I'm looking Cameroon in reality. And I feel pity for the nation Cameroon, because it is not just the issue of corruption, but insecurity is nearly all over in Cameroon. And we are praying every blessed day, because the only thing that we need in Cameroon presently is a positive change of mentality. And that positive change of mentality will take away corruption, will take away insecurity, will take away all the trouble, poverty, hunger, and all the things we are passing through as Cameroonians.
So how will the positive change of mentality solve the problems of insecurity, the Anglophone crisis in the northwest and southwest regions, inflation, corruption, and all the problems plaguing the nation today?
The positive mentality can solve the Anglophone crisis, because I make mention some times ago that there are two kinds of problems in southern Cameroon. That is the Anglophone crisis and the Ambazonian crisis. And I'd like to mention that if the government of Cameroon can adopt a positive mentality, looking at the problem in southern Cameroon, and then have a positive mentality to solve it, they will understand that it is a constitutional problem and not a military problem. And if they understand with that mindset, that positive mentality, they will call for a negotiation, a roundtable conference, where nearly all Cameroonians, trustworthy Cameroonians, will sit to discuss their form of government. Because when what we call the Anglophone problem is the cancellation of the federal system. When Amadou Ahidjo dissolved the federal system of government, that is where the Anglophone crisis started. And it is a constitutional problem that needs to solve constitutionally, not militarily. So if the government of President Paul Biya can change their mentality positively, and then they will consider the people of Southern Cameroon, there will be no marginalization, because there will be positive mentality. There will be no corruption, and what the people of Southern Cameroon have been crying for. If you look critically the issue that started this problem we are having today, you will understand that it was due to poor mentality on the part of the government. They wanted to assimilate the people of Southern Cameroon. They wanted to maltreat the people of Southern Cameroon. They wanted to do all kinds of terrible things to put them at the level of second-class citizens. And it was due to poor mentality. So if they have and can change their mentality positively and act as a government for the people, the Anglophone crisis will be solved. And for the Ambazonian crisis, that is maybe now in, it still needs a positive change of mentality. That if those who are promoting the Ambazonian leaders would look into it and say that our people are suffering, we need to stop the suffering. Stopping that suffering is a positive mentality. Taking positive strategy and not believing that you are going to fight and kill all the military. You are going to name your own brothers and sisters, the people you are fighting for, black leg, and kill them. You are going to push them below poverty line. It will not help anything. So if they change their mentality positively, they will understand that there is no country in the world that have ever achieved anything with gun. Everything always ends on the table. And then concerning the inflation in Cameroon, many people are looking at it and say the living standard in Cameroon is terrible. Why? And then the government is not going directly into the source, the root cause of the inflation in Cameroon, the high living standard in Cameroon. Prices of nearly everything are rising every day, triply, migrated to Francophone regions. And then increase in population will increase a lot of issues. President Paul Biya also came because they are also passing through some kind of difficulty. And then it reduced fuel subsidy. And then that push and force and created a fuel prices, increased fuel prices. Those are the places where all these things are coming from. So if the government can change the mentality positively and then look into the Anglophone crisis, and there is the suffering in southern Cameroon, and then also look at the insecurity in all over Cameroon, and then stop corruption and embezzlement, everything will come to an end in Cameroon, and Cameroonians will enjoy the resources that God gave them.
In one of your recent statements on Equinox Television, you said that there is need for urgent change in the governance mechanism of Cameroon. Many are still calling on the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, to stand as candidate in the upcoming 2025 presidential election. Should the change not start from the top?
Yes, we are urgently in need of a positive change, of power change in Cameroon. It is not an issue of whether the CPDM are saying what. We know that they have taken over Cameroon in a way we cannot explain. And then the other thing we are talking about is we need a new political system or a new regime in Cameroon. Those calling President Paul Biya to continue as president of Cameroon, they are not helping him. That is the only truth I can tell them, and also tell President Paul Biya. Because if you look at President Paul Biya, he is 91 years old. He has been blessed by God to stay this long. And then the only thing he needs at this particular point is to be at home, playing with his great-grandchildren, not governing a country. Those who are calling President Paul Biya to run for the upcoming presidential election 2025 are those who are sitting on something that they don't want Cameroonians to be aware of it. And then President Paul Biya is acting as an umbrella, covering their terrible things that they have done in Cameroon. So they are afraid of revenge. They are afraid of the prison. And then that is why they are struggling. If you look critically, you discover that those who are calling President Paul Biya to run for the upcoming presidential election are elites, top businessmen, politicians, traditional rulers. And these are the people benefiting from the system. And that is why I am calling on all Cameroonians, including the CPDM, that they should have pity upon the people of Cameroon. Cameroon is not a family. A governed or with one particular head of that family, which is President Paul Biya. Cameroon is a whole country with different kind of people. And no Cameroonian is satisfied or happy with this particular system in place. And then if they are calling for President Paul Biya to take over and govern Cameroon again for the next upcoming, I don't believe they are serious. But the whole issue is that it is benefiting them. Us Cameroonians, we are the one to stand up and say no to this. And the only way is if all opposition parties will join themselves together, put fear away, and stand against the CPDM. Because the problem in Cameroon is the CPDM.
Should he step aside? Because according to opposition political leaders, political observers, analysts, civil society leaders like you, he has failed for the past 4 decades, or because he is no longer able to govern the country, even though he himself has not said so.
I am calling President Paul Biya to stay aside for the upcoming presidential election. And my problem is not particularly President Paul Biya. I am calling on the CPDM to stay aside because it is already a system that all those who are involved in it are aware of the operation of the system. So if President Paul Biya stayed aside, another person from the CPDM take over, we are going to remain in this particular issue. So I am supporting and calling on all to join hands together. If there is a way to pressure President Paul Biya and the entire CPDM, there was a time I was calling for a civilian coup d'etat in Cameroon, not a military coup d'etat, because the military are also involved in it. And that I saw it coming when these people were trying to form a coalition for transition. I saw it through that. So I am saying that we are pleading first on President Paul Biya because I respect elderly people. Pleading on him first to look at his age and say, I'm not going to run for the upcoming presidential election. And then allowed ELECA and the Constitutional Council to be neutral so that we can have free, fair, and transparent election in Cameroon. He has been there for 41 years. And then by 2025, he will be 42 years in power. And then there is nothing that President Paul Biya can stand and say, this is something I have accomplished in Cameroon. When I talk about accomplishing something for the people of Cameroon, I'm saying for the 41 years, President Paul Biya cannot stand anywhere and say, I've given electricity to all Cameroonians. This is the only thing I achieved in power. For 41 years in power, President Paul Biya is unable to give to Cameroonian portable drinking water for 41 years. Part of Cameroon, even in city, Douala, Yaoundé, Buea, we are hearing about cholera killing people. People do not have drinkable water for 41 years. These are things that are necessary in life. Anywhere you talk about, you have done this or that. It is electricity, water, health, education. But all these things, there is nothing President Paul Biya has accomplished for the 41 years in power. Root is there. That by this time, he could have said that I'm leaving power after 41 years in power or 42 years in power. I have given all the regions or all the city, farm to market route. He has not done that. Concerning electricity, many places in Cameroon do not have electricity. Recently, we heard about the government unable to pay their electricity, and instead of the company to punish the government, the company turned to punish the civilians. And this is the Cameroon we are complaining about every blessed day. And there is no way President Paul Biya will finish this if he goes in for the 2025 presidential election. He will not go. He will not achieve anything because things are becoming too difficult all over the world. And he will not be within the 7 years that he will accomplish something for the people of Cameroon. So I am in support of President Paul Biya stepping down for another person to take over, not from the CPDM.
The coalitions you're talking about, led by Honorable Jean-Michel Nincho and Olivier Billet, have been banned by Territorial Administration Minister Tanganji Paul, who says that the coalitions are illegal. And Human Rights Watch has called on the government of Cameroon to lift the sanction and stop harassing opposition political parties in the country. What do you think about all this? When
the coalition came in place, I knew that the government would fight, because the highest thing the government of Cameroon is afraid of is coalition. And then they banned that coalition mainly because they visited Seseko Ayu Julio in prison. And knowing well fully that Seseko Ayu Julio was behind the kind of pressure that Ambazonia came with, they knew that if these people have a coalition with him, he will give them the strategy to pressure the government of President Paul Biya. And then Atanganji came out to ban that organization or that coalition because of fear. That is the system. That is how the CBDN has been operating throughout this year. Everybody is aware of it. They don't want anything that will disturb them. And they have been struggling by all possible means to silence all opposition parties in Cameroon. And that forced me some time to say that there is no opposition parties in Cameroon. Cameroon is a one-party system. On pieces of paper, Cameroon is a multi-party system. But in reality, Cameroon is a one-party system. Because you cannot tell me that for close to 60 years today, Cameroon is being governed by a political party. No opposition party has never, no one opposition party have ever taken power in Cameroon. The Social Democratic Front came in 1992. And President Paul Biya struggled by all possible means to frustrate that political party. Recently, other opposition party came up stronger than the CBDN in reality. But within the CBDN, they frustrated everything. Just look at what is happening in the National Assembly and the Senate. There is no way you can say this is a multi-party system, not just one way. So Atanganji is a good servant to the CBDN and is struggling by all possible means to show to President Paul Biya what he can do in order to keep him in power. And my message to the oppositions, lead parties that were struggling to form the coalition, that they should not be discouraged. The only thing the government of Cameroon is trying to do is to intimidate. And there is no way you can change a political system without having leaders who will stand up for freedom without any fear. There is not just one way. So they have to keep doing it, drawing their strategy in a way that all Cameroonians will stand up one day against the regime in place. I saw the publication yesterday where Human Rights Watch is sent out calling on the government to stop oppressing and intimidating opposition parties in Cameroon. The government will not stop because they are benefiting from it. When they threaten, when they oppress, and then when they repress and arrest opposition leaders and militants, they stop and they go into it, maybe in hiding, and they keep on operating, and that is what they have been doing for all this year. So the government will not do anything positively to what Human Rights Watch sent outside, but the opposition parties should stand up and keep on doing it. It is not an issue. President Paul Biya make it. Even the Minister of Communication came out recently talking about there is no political prisoner in Cameroon. And then when you look through it, they don't want to put political figure like Maurice Kanto in prison because they want to show to the international community that they are not keeping any political prisoner. So this is an opportunity for people like him to stand up, not calling militant, because when they will call militant, they will threaten those militants, they will arrest them and put them in prison forever. But people like Maurice Kanto, people like O.C. Joshua, they can stand up and the government will not do anything. And these are people we are looking up to, that they should go and offices is not writing and holding meeting in hidden places. No, go to where it is necessary. That change can come from there and start from there.
Some interviews right now. We'll be right back in a short while.
Our system in Cameroon is an oligarchy, that is gerontocracy, that have decided to stay in power and hold us hostage for all the rest of the time. And this reminds me of the ancient days, especially the Greek society, where Plato actually says that it is for the elder man to rule and for the younger man to submit. They run Cameroon now as a village provision store, almost like what happens in my village, where Jack Sani could lock up a store and go to the farm and come back out to the even to the coast and come back after 1 weekend without answering any question to anybody. And so that is why the gerontocracy in Cameroon is running. They actually lock up Cameroon, they go and do their medical consultations abroad and come back even in years. We saw the pictures of Nyan Difenji coming back, and he looks almost like a person that will continue to drag Cameroon behind, because even his steps, the way he drags his steps, it means that that is how Cameroon will be dragged behind, because he can't move freely, he can't think vigorously, and there is no way. It's a vicious cycle that they continue to perpetrate in Cameroon here, and people will continue to need a change of a complete overhaul of this system.
This is not surprising given the political context of Cameroon, but nonetheless, it's deeply worrying from our perspective at Human Rights Watch. There is nothing illegal or clandestine about opposition parties making an attempt to form a coalition with which to speak in a common voice and with which to share ideas and strategies. This is something that functioning democracies allow and enable opposition and ruling parties to carry out across the world. The government of Cameroon should stop harassing opposition parties, and it should specifically lift the ban on these two coalitions, and it should publicly state that it is going to allow opposition parties, even opposition parties that challenge the government and some of their programs and policies, to have the space within which to operate freely and fairly.
Problem of this road now, we are suffering. Even I myself standing here, I sprain my leg. I cannot have Okada to carry me to where I'm going because of this road.
For a long time, we, the Bangwa people, the Lebang people, have never had good roads. So we ask ourselves that this is something that we need to figure out a solution to.
The second phase, which we have started, and now 1/3 of the way there, is the actual grading, where we're cumbering the road, creating gutters, and leveling the road and compacting it. So we started at Ndungwe, at the boundary with the West Province, and we are all the way down to Nkrinelokong, for those who are familiar with that area.
Ahead of the 2025 presidential elections, a registration of potential voters is yet to start in the diaspora. What are your thoughts on this?
Voter registration was supposed to start, that was 1st of January 2024, and it will be closing around August 2024. And in the diaspora, we are not hearing about anything. And many have complained. The Cameroon Diaspora Council and the Cameroonian Diaspora for Freedom and Human Rights wrote to the Director General of ELECA asking, but no response. There are a lot of difficulty, and I am not worried about it because I know that it is the way of the CPD. At the TM, they will say they open it just for a few people, and they will inform the CPDM to go quickly and register. Or maybe they already done it without our knowledge. First of all, Cameroon is having a poor relationship with many countries. So Cameroonians in other countries, like here in Cyprus, there are close to 2,000 Cameroonians in Cyprus here. Yet, we don't know, we are sure that we are not going to vote because there is no way for us to register. And this is how the CPDN has been operating. And we don't know exactly what we can do because the government of President Paul Biya gave us that opportunity to register and vote for presidential election and for referendum. That a decree was signed on the 13th of July 2011 by President Paul Biya. Yet it remained on a piece of paper. And in reality, He is preaching and saying that he has done that. But yet nobody, even in country like France, with many Cameroonians, it has not been opened. Voter registration is still to be opened in that country. I believe President Paul Biya is afraid of the way people came out. Cameroonians in the diaspora came out after the 2018 presidential election. I believe President Paul Biya is afraid of that. That maybe he is having many opposition abroad than supporter. I believe that is one of the issues that is keeping them. Because I'm not going to talk about Elekan, because Elekan, the head of Elekan is President Paul Biya. The head of the Constitutional Council is President Paul Biya. The head of any institution in Cameroon is President Paul Biya. So if we want to blame somebody, we are first of all blaming President Paul Biya for everything. Because if he says today to the Elekan that all Cameroonians who are out of Cameroon should register within 2 weeks, it will be done. All diplomatic offices will be contacted, and that will start immediately. But because they are waiting for him to give an order, that is where the problem is coming from. But we will not stop complaining until we have the right to vote and participate. Because if we do not vote, register, we cannot vote. And if we do not vote, we cannot bring any positive change in Cameroon. So we are calling on Elekan. We are calling also on opposition parties. There are 368 of them to help us cry if there is a way that all leaders of opposition party can march to the office of Elekan in Yaoundé and even stop them for 2-3 days, that we want voter registration to start in all countries out of Cameroon. It will be done. Because waiting for the CBDM, nothing will be done. And many Cameroonians of voting age will not participate for the upcoming presidential election. And that is the system and the strategy of the CBDM, to keep many out of the electoral list, so that those who will be there, the 5-6 million people, will be all of the CBDM.
Thank you very much, Lapana Tasha Mama, joining us from the south of Cyprus. You are a civil society actor and author of the book Positive Mentality for the Cameroon. We want to thank you for your contributions in the program today.
You are welcome, Mr. Babila.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today's edition of The Inside. You can follow the program on our YouTube channel, and you can also follow the rebroadcast of the program on Friday at 5 p.m. Thank you so much for your time.